kāyakṛtyāsahaḥ pūrvaṃ tato vāgvistarāsahaḥ atha cintāsahastasmādevamevāhamāsthitaḥ. I became intolerant first of physical action, then of extensive speech, and then of thought. Thus do I, therefore, abide in myself. Chinmaya writes, in the earlier chapter, considered as an 8-versed hymn to the glory of self, sage Ashtavakra, with a rare spontaneity of inspiration, completes a vivid and pulsating picture of the intellectual attitude of a man of perfection towards happenings in the objective world and towards his own subjective intellectual reactions to them. Together with that, this chapter gives the view of the world from the silent and quiet bosom of a man of realization. This chapter is titled, How to Abide in the Self. Unquote. The verse expresses intolerance towards physical action, extensive speech, and thought. Let us deal with them one by one. Physical action. Physical action at the worldly level includes all types of actions which a normal jiva undertakes in pursuance of his artha kama dharma. In sadhana, the physical actions could be service, traveling for pilgrimage, charity, etc. And at speech, at the level of jiva, it includes all that a jiva talks or hears others talking at worldly level. In sadhana, speech would include bhajan, kirtan, mantra, yajna, rituals, and listening and giving discourses, both. And at thought level, for a jiva, it includes all types of thoughts, A to Z. In sadhana, the thoughts would include contemplation on the instructions of Guru or of scriptures, intense meditation and nididhyasana. Janaka says, and of course he is referring to all these three things: physical actions, speech and thought, with respect to sadhana. The worldly level speech, action and thought would have been transcended ages before. So Janaka says, I have transcended all these three. Now I am not able to limit myself to any of these three modes of sadhana. In spiritual path, initially sadhana is at physical level, which is karma. Then through speech, at mental level, bhakti, singing, chanting, etc. And then at intellectual level, which is jnana, shravana, manana, nididhyasana. Basically, more stress on nididhyasana, meditation, dhyana. All these are required, and one karma takes a seeker to bhakti, and the maturity, the ripening of the bhakti is jnana. For a seeker in the starting stage, with lot of ego, accumulated ego, vasanas, physical actions in sadhana, mainly seva or service, is aimed at reducing the level of ego. Since most spiritual aspirants or jivas in the Kali Yuga are at the infant stage in sadhana, Sai insisted more on seva many times. Till this ego is reduced, the seeker's mind would be restless and he might not be able to engage in bhakti, because bhakti requires a very intense, focused mind. Once ego is reduced to a certain extent through seva, then archana, puja, satsang, bhajan, kirtan, etc. is possible, as there is one pointed focus on the Lord. This is bhakti marga. After ego is reduced to bare minimum, the real sadhana starts inward. Meditation, dhyana, contemplation, all these are at thought level, intellectual level, without much of physical action or shravanam involved. Without undermining the relevance of the three modes of sadhana, the seeker has followed all of them one by one and has transcended all of them, outgrown all of them, and hence he is unable to go back and take up any of these three modes. Janaka, who would have undertaken intense nididhyasana on his master's discourses, has come face to face with self and is existing as self, abiding in self. Karma, bhakti, jnana are transcended, or we can say fructification of karma, bhakti, jnana has happened finally. Still, a seer, a realized Jivan Mukta, if it comes intuitively from within, he may undertake any of the three at any given point of time, karma, bhakti, jnana, but he would take up in and as Ananda, not to derive Ananda or happiness out of them. He would sing sometimes, he would be engaged in prayer in temple, he may remember the Lord with teary eyes, talk in a satsang, engage in seva, but all these are spontaneous manifestation of his inner joy. They are not done to prove anything. They are not done with a purpose. Chinmaya writes about the intolerance towards actions, thoughts, and speech. He says, the earlier sadhana, such as services of mankind and rituals, kirtana and pujas, practice of truthfulness, self-control, concentration, contemplation, are all immense significance to the seeker, because they, in their totality, leads to the student to the takeoff pad or for higher meditation. At this stage, in his subtle vision, he gains convincing glimpses of the oneness of the Divine Self everywhere. Yoga Vasishta says, the body is nothing but the effects of the past actions, and the mind that prompts the body is itself dynamized by the intelligent ego. And this jiva in itself, the expression of the Lord. And this Lord is the manifestation of the Atman, the Self. In short, in one word, we say, everything is the one Shiva. Moments of such understanding are moments when the earlier paths of sadhana are themselves insufferable mental distractions. Specifically, maybe one or two or three of you may understand what he is going to share. The verse is over. The talk on the verse is over, but personally, he is sharing this verse, essence of this verse, from the perspective of a guru. From the perspective of a guru, leave the physical actions. It may not be much valid, because an acharya hardly undertakes any physical action as such in his instructions to his disciples. Regarding speech, any extra teaching, any extra discourse, especially when the Guru realizes that his disciples are not tuned to be with him, just as they would be in Himalayas, if he and they have to be in Himalayas, leaving the whole world. Due to this lack of 100% tuning, the Guru finally becomes intolerant even towards any extra instruction, any extra pour, any extra talk as speech. And he himself, existing in aloneness of self, At a personal level, he realizes the illusory nature of the world, and he is aware that there is hardly any heart-to-heart relation. He is sure if he skips talking to anyone in the world, if he skips saying a hello to anyone in the world, all the other side would easily skip talking. This brings an intolerance towards any talk, any conversation from his side. Now about the thought. As the preceptor, he gets intolerant towards towards thinking of giving more and more. He becomes intolerant towards the thought of where the disciples are, how much they have progressed, how much more they have to progress, and how much more can he guide them, help them in their further evolvement. All these intolerances are the sad part of a guru. Sad indeed. Hari Om Tat Sat.